Hello dear students, welcome back to the chemistry class. In this class, we will be discussing the vapor pressure of liquid solutions. Mainly, we will be looking at two types of solutions here. Before moving forward with the liquid solutions, we should know what is vapor pressure of a liquid. Each liquid has a specific vapor pressure, a certain vapor pressure. It depends on the nature of the liquid. It also depends on the temperature. So each liquid has a specific amount of vapor pressure. Now, what is vapor pressure of a liquid? Let us consider a closed container. So this is a closed container, completely closed on all the sides. In this container, closed container, we have a liquid. A liquid is present in this closed container. It can be water, it can be any alcohol, ether, anything. Okay, so this is a liquid. Now, when this liquid is allowed to evaporate, when this liquid undergoes evaporation, some of the liquid particles will be converted to vapors. Okay, so when the liquid undergoes evaporation, some of the liquid particles will be converted to vapors. So here, the liquid, when it undergoes evaporation, it will turn into vapors. Vapors means solid or liquid particles which are suspended in air, which are diffused in air. So when liquid undergoes evaporation, some of the particles will escape the liquid phase. So they will move into this empty space. So these are nothing but vapors. Okay. So when liquid particles undergo evaporation, they will be converted to vapors. These vapors will escape the liquid solution and it will occupy this empty space. The vapors are present in this empty space. This empty space is called vapor phase. This empty space, it is called vapor phase because this empty space contains all the vapors. How do you get the vapors? By evaporating. When liquid particles undergo evaporation, they will be converted to vapors. Now these vapors which are present in this vapor phase, these vapors which are present in this empty space, they are moving in all directions. They are free to move in all directions. Now some of the vapor particles, some of the vapors will come and hit or collide with this liquid surface. Okay, these vapors are available or they are free to move in all directions. When these vapors will collide with this liquid surface, they undergo condensation. They undergo condensation. Now, what do you mean by condensation? It is a process by which vapors are converted to liquid. It is reverse of evaporation. Okay, so this is evaporation. Evaporation means conversion of liquid into vapors. When the liquid particles will evaporate, they will be converted to vapors. And when these vapor hit the or collide with the liquid surface, when these vapors will collide with this liquid surface, they will be converted back to liquid. That is called condensation. Condensation is a process by which vapors will be converted to liquid. How does that happen? When vapors will collide or hit the liquid surface, they will be converted back to liquid particles. Now, in this closed containers, we have two processes that are taking place. One is evaporation. Liquid particles are converted to vapors. The other one is condensation. The vapors are converted back to liquid. Now the processes of evaporation and condensation occurs simultaneously. Now at equilibrium, the number of vapors, the number of vapors undergoing condensation, it is equal to the number of vapors which are undergoing condensation, it is equal to number of liquid particles, undergoing evaporation, So number of vapors which are undergoing condensation, it is equal to number of liquid particles undergoing the evaporation. So number of vapors which are converted to liquid, it is equal to number of liquid particles which are converted to vapors. So we say that at equilibrium, evaporation, the process of evaporation, it is equal to the process of condensation. Now this is the basic concept. Now what is vapor pressure of a liquid? You take any liquid, what is the vapor pressure of the liquid? Now the vapor pressure means pressure exerted by the vapors. The pressure exerted by these vapors above the liquid surface. These vapors are present above the liquid surface, right? This is the liquid surface, this is the liquid surface, and the vapors are present above the liquid surface. Now the pressure exerted by these vapors above the liquid surface, it is known as vapor pressure at a certain temperature, at a specific temperature. Now I'll write it here. Now pressure exerted by, the pressure exerted by the vapors, these are all vapors, right? In equilibrium with liquid phase. These vapors, they are in equilibrium with liquid particles. Above the liquid surface, above the liquid, where is the pressure exerted? The pressure is exerted by these vapors above the liquid surface at certain temperature or specific temperature. So this is known as vapor pressure of a liquid. So vapor pressure of a liquid is the pressure exerted by these vapors above the liquid or above the liquid surface. Now we have two factors which affect the vapor pressure of a liquid. So we have factors affecting vapor pressure of a liquid. The first factor, we have the nature of liquid. It depends on what type of liquid you have. I told you each and every liquid has a specific amount of vapor pressure. So there are mainly two types of liquids. In one type of liquid, we have liquid having weaker intermolecular forces. Okay, liquids having weaker or weak intermolecular forces. The forces present between the molecules of the liquid, that is intermolecular forces. The molecules of the liquid are held by weak forces. Okay, so liquid having weaker intermolecular forces. The other liquid, it has stronger intermolecular forces. Okay, in these liquids, the molecules of the liquids are held together by strong forces, strong intermolecular forces. Now, when the liquid has weak intermolecular forces, the molecules can be separated or broken easily. The molecules will turn into vapor. The molecules undergo evaporation very easily when there are weaker intermolecular forces. Okay, the forces will be very weak here. The forces or the molecules held together by weak forces. Hence, they will be converted to vapors very easily. Hence, there will be more vapors present in these liquids. More vapor means more vapor pressure. Hence, for liquids having weaker intermolecular forces, the vapor pressure is greater. Now, liquids having strong intermolecular forces, the molecules are held together by strong forces. They will not separate or they will not escape very easily. Okay, the molecules of these liquids will not be turned into vapors very easily. The molecules of these liquids will not undergo evaporation very easily. Hence, less number of vapors are formed here. Less number of liquid particles will be converted to vapors. So, less number of vapors means the vapor pressure will be lower. Okay, so the vapor pressure depends on the nature of liquid. If you have liquid which is having weaker intermolecular forces, then the vapor pressure will be greater. If the liquid is having stronger intermolecular forces, then the vapor pressure will be lower. For example, we have water. Water has strong intermolecular forces. Hence, the evaporation will be weaker here. The vapor pressure will be lower. Whereas you have ethanol or methanol. For these liquids, the intermolecular forces is weaker. Hence, vapor pressure will be greater. So, this is the first factor which decides the vapor pressure of the liquid. Again, I will explain. If the liquid is having weaker intermolecular forces, the molecules are held together by weak forces. They can escape into the vapor phase very easily. They can be converted to vapors very easily. Hence, in these liquids, more number of vapors will be formed. Hence, the vapor pressure will be greater. Whereas liquid having stronger intermolecular forces, the molecules in these liquids are held together by strong intermolecular forces. Hence, these molecules or these particles cannot escape the liquid phase very easily. They cannot escape or they cannot evaporate very easily. Hence, in case of these liquids, very less vapors are available. Hence, vapor pressure will be lower. So, this is the first factor that decides or affects the vapor pressure of the liquid. Now, the second factor. The second factor, we have temperature. The temperature of the liquid or liquid solution. You have to know that the vapor pressure is directly proportional to temperature. If the temperature is higher, then the vapor pressure of the liquid will be greater or will be higher. Now what is the reason behind this? If the temperature is higher, if the temperature is more, then what happens? The liquid molecules will have greater kinetic energy. If the temperature is higher, the liquid particles will move with greater kinetic energy. Hence, they can escape into the vapor phase very easily. They can be evaporated very easily. Okay, so if the temperature is higher, the liquid particles or liquid molecules will move, okay, will have great kinetic energy. Hence, the vapor pressure will be higher. So, you have to remember this. The vapor pressure is directly proportional to temperature. If the temperature is higher, the vapor pressure will be higher. So, these are the two factors that decide or affect the vapor pressure of a liquid. Now, let us move forward with the main topic, that is vapor pressure of liquid solutions. Just now you learned what is vapor pressure of a liquid. Now let us study the vapor pressure of liquid solutions. So we have two types of solutions here. One is liquid solutions. The other one is solid-liquid solutions. Now, vapor pressure of liquid solutions. In these solutions, the solute and solvents both are liquids. This is solute liquid which is dissolved in solvent liquid. So both solute and solvents are liquids. Now, in these solutions, both solute and solvent are volatile in nature. Both solute and solvent are volatile in nature. What do you mean by volatile? What do you mean by volatile substances? These substances tend to evaporate. Volatile substances tend to evaporate easily. That means these substances will easily evaporate. They will be easily converted to vapors. Now, in these liquid solutions, remember that both solute and solvent are volatile. Both solute and solvent will be easily evaporate. They will be easily converted to vapors. Now, we have a closed container here again. Here we have liquid solution. Okay, this is a liquid solution. Now what is present in this liquid solution? Solute is present. Also solvent is present. Now when this liquid solution undergoes evaporation, both solute particles and solvent particles undergo evaporation because both are volatile in nature. Both solute and solvent particles will easily undergo evaporation. The liquid solute and liquid solvent will be converted to vapors. So in this vapor phase, I told you this empty space is known as vapor phase. So this vapor phase contains both solute vapors and solvent vapors. Okay, this vapor phase contains both solute vapors and solvent vapors because both solute and solvent will undergo evaporation. Now, there is a law here which explains the relationship between the partial vapor pressure and the mole fraction of the liquid solution. Now, the law which expresses the relationship between the partial pressure and the mole fraction of the solution, it is Raoult's law, a very important law. Raoult's law for volatile solutes. In this solution, the liquid solute, it is volatile. Hence, it is Raoult's law for volatile solute. Now, what is the statement of this Raoult's law? At a given temperature, the temperature can be anything, at any temperature, at a given temperature, for a solution of volatile liquids. This solution, it contains both solute and solvent, both are liquids, both are volatile here. So for a solution of volatile liquids means both solute liquid and solvent liquid, both are volatile in nature, both can be easily evaporated. So at a given temperature, for a solution of volatile liquids, the partial vapor pressure, the partial vapor pressure of each component. Each component. Which are the components present in this solid? One is liquid solute and liquid solvent. So the partial pressure of the solute and the partial pressure of the solvent in solution, it is equal to the product means multiplication, the product of vapor pressure of pure component. The product of vapor pressure of pure component. Pure component means the solute and solvent which are present individually. When they are not present in the solution, when they are present individually, it is called pure component and its mole fraction. Now I'll explain this very simple. Now let us assume the solution, liquid solution, it has two components. One is component A, the other one is component B. So this is a liquid solution which has two components. Suppose A is solvent and B is solute. Now let us assume that PA means partial pressure. Let us assume that PA and for this PB are vapor pressures in solution. Partial vapor pressures in solution. PA means partial vapor pressure of solvent. PB means partial vapor pressure of the solute. Now we have PA naught and PB naught. This is partial vapor pressure of pure solute and solvent. P naught A, this is for solvent. PA naught, this means it is the vapor pressure of pure solvent. PB naught means vapor pressure of the pure solute. PA means vapor pressure in solution. P naught means for pure solvent and solute when they are present individually, when they are not present in the solution. Now, according to Raoult's law, what it says, the partial vapor pressure of each component. First, let us take PA. This is partial vapor pressure of solvent. It is equal to the product of Vp of pure component. There is another term here. Let us take XA and XB. These are nothing but mole fractions. We have already studied this, mole fractions. XA means mole fraction of solvent. XB means mole fraction of solute. Now, according to Raoult's law, vapor pressure of each component. First, let me take solvent. Vapor pressure of the solvent, it is equal to the product of vapor pressure of pure component. For solvent, which is the pure component, that is P naught A. So, P naught A multiplied by its mole fraction. So for A, which is the mole fraction, XA. This is for solvent. The vapor pressure of each component means vapor pressure of the solvent, it is equal to the product of vapor pressure of pure solvent and its mole fraction. Similarly, for solute, we have PB, it is equal to the vapor pressure of pure solute P naught B multiplied by the mole fraction of B, the mole fraction of the solute. So these are the mathematical expressions for Raoult's law when the solution contains two volatile liquids. The Raoult's law says that the vapor pressure of each component, it is equal to the product of vapor pressure of pure component and mole fraction, its mole fraction. Now we can further expand this equation or the expression according to Dalton's law. According to Dalton's law of vapor pressures, partial vapor pressures, so what does the Dalton law of partial pressure say? It says that the total vapor pressure of the solution, it is equal to the sum of vapor pressure of each component. Okay, the total vapor pressure of the solution, it is equal to the sum of vapor pressure of each component. So solution, it is equal to solute plus solvent. So vapor pressure of the solution, it is equal to vapor pressure of solute and vapor pressure of solvent. So instead of writing this as solution, let us just write it as like this, P. Now for solvent we have Pa, for solute we have Pb. Okay, so let me just write it as P is equal to Pa plus Pb. So total vapor pressure of the solution, it is equal to vapor pressure of solvent plus vapor pressure of solute. Here A is solvent, B is solute. Now P is equal to, expanding this, what is Pa? Pa is equal to P naught A multiplied by Xa. So Pa, we have P naught A into Xa plus, what is Pb? Pb is P naught B into Xb. Okay, now this is equal to, let me write P naught A as it is. Now when I was explaining mole fraction, I told you that the sum of mole fraction of each component, it is equal to 1. It is equal to unity. So we have two mole fractions here. So sum of mole fractions Xa plus Xb will always be 1. Remember this. The sum of mole fractions of each component, it is equal to 1. Now if you send Xb on the other side, Xa will be equal to 1 minus Xb. Okay, if you send Xb on the other side, Xa becomes 1 minus Xb. Now in the place of Xa, let us substitute this one. So P naught A will be multiplied by, what is Xa here? 1 minus Xb plus we have P naught B into Xb. Now this is equal to, now let us multiply this thing by P naught A. P naught A into 1, we have P naught A minus P naught A into Xb, we have minus P naught A Xb plus we have P naught B Xb. Now this is equal to, let us keep P naught A as it is. Now out of these two, what is the common factor? Xp is the common factor. Let us take it out. So what you will get? Plus, if you take Xb out, we have plus P naught B minus P naught A. Okay, so this is vapor pressure of the solution. So this is the final mathematical expression for Raoult's law of volatile solutes. The total vapor pressure of the solution, it is equal to, okay, we have P naught A. P naught A means the vapor pressure of pure solvent, plus we have bracket here. P naught B means the vapor pressure of pure solute, minus we have again P naught A, the vapor pressure of pure solvent, multiplied by XB. XB means the mole fraction of the solute. So this is the final expression for Raoult's law of volatile liquids, where the liquid solution contains two volatile liquids. Now, let us move forward with the second type of liquid solutions, vapor pressure of solid liquid solutions. So in these solutions, the solute will be solid and the solvent will be liquid. Okay, in these solid liquid solutions, the solute is solid and the solvent is liquid. Now, let us talk about volatile and non-volatile. We know that liquids, they are volatile in nature. They can be evaporated. Liquids can be converted to vapors. So, liquids is volatile. The solvent is volatile. Now, what about the solid solute? Solids will not undergo evaporation. Okay, very easily at least. So, the solid here, we say that it is non-volatile. For example, you take sugar in your hand or you take salt in your hand, which are solids. Will they evaporate? No, they will not evaporate. Hence, the solid solute, it is non-volatile, means it will not evaporate easily. So this is the liquid solution in which we have non-volatile solute. Now, again, let me take a closed container just like before. Now, we have the liquid solution here. So, this is liquid solution. Now, what is present in this liquid solution? We have solid solute present. We also have liquid solvent. Now, when this liquid evaporates, what happens? Only liquid solvent will get evaporated. Only liquid solvent will turn into vapors. The solid will not evaporate. So, the solid solute, it will remain in the solution. Whereas the liquid solvent, it will get evaporated. So, vapors will be formed here. Vapors will be formed here, and these vapors will be only solvent vapors. Only solvent is getting evaporated. Hence, you will only get solvent vapors. You will not get solute vapors, because solute is a solid here. Solid will not evaporate. Hence, the solute will remain in the solution. So, here the vapor pressure of the liquid solution will only depend on the vapor pressure of the solvent. It will not depend on the vapor pressure of solute, because there are not solute vapors. Only solvent vapors are present. Only solvent vapors are exerting pressure. Hence, the vapor pressure for this solution, it will only depend on the vapors of solvent, vapor pressure of the solvent. Now, the other thing you have to remember here is, for these solutions, the vapor pressure of solution, which we have small p, it will be less than the vapor pressure of pure solvent, which is given by P naught A. Okay, because in these solutions, the solute particles are not undergoing evaporation. Okay, hence the vapor pressure of the solution, it will be less than the vapor pressure of pure solvent, that is P naught A. This is a one important thing you have to remember. For which solution? For solid liquid solution. So for this solution also we have a Raoult's law. Now the total vapor pressure of solution, it will be equal to the vapor pressure of solvent in solution, because solutes are not involved here. Previously you wrote P is equal to PA plus PB, right? This is according to Dalton's law of partial pressures. The total pressure, partial pressure of the solution, it is equal to partial pressure of solvent plus partial pressure of solute. But here the solute is not undergoing evaporation. Hence solute will not have vapors here. So the partial pressure of solute is not available. So total pressure of vapor pressure of solution, it is equal to vapor pressure of the solvent. So this is for this solid solution. Now what is PA? In the previous solution you studied, PA is equal to product of vapor pressure of pure solvent multiplied by its mole fraction, XA. Now let us substitute this value of PA here. So total vapor pressure of the solution, it is equal to, what is PA? PA is P naught A into XA. So this is the final mathematical expression for Raoult's law of non-volatile solute. In this solution, the solid solute is non-volatile. So according to this expression, we can say that Raoult's law of non-volatile solute states that the total vapor pressure of the solution is directly proportional to mole fraction of the solvent. So we say that the total vapor pressure, it is directly proportional to mole fraction of solvent. So this is the statement for Raoult's law. Now expanding this expression, so we have the total vapor pressure of the solution, it is equal to vapor pressure of pure solvent multiplied by mole fraction of solvent. Now if you send this vapor pressure on this side, we have P divided by P naught A, it is equal to, we have XA. Now subtracting both sides from 1, so 1 minus P by P naught A, it is equal to, here also 1 minus XA. Now taking LCM here, so P naught A, we have P naught A minus P divided by P naught A. So this is taking LCM. It is equal to, now what is 1 minus XA? Previously I told you, XA plus XB, it is always equal to 1. So if you send XA on the other side, you have XB is equal to, sending XA on the other side, 1 minus XA. So 1 minus XA means XB. So I'll write XB here. Now what is P? P, it is equal to PA. So in the place of P, I will take PA. So we have P naught A minus, this is PA divided by P naught A. It is equal to XB. Now this is one of the very important expressions which will be used later. Now in this expression, first we have numerator here, P naught A minus PA. This will be called lowering in vapor pressure. This expression P naught A minus PA, it is called lowering in vapor pressure. Now if you take total thing here, that is P naught A minus PA divided by P naught A, the entire thing here, this will be, or this is called relative lowering. This is called relative lowering of vapor pressure. So P naught A minus PA, it is lowering of vapor pressure, whereas P naught A minus PA divided by P naught A, it is called relative lowering of vapor pressure. Now according to Raoult's law, there is another statement using this one. According to Raoult's law, the relative lowering of vapor pressure, okay, this one, it is the same thing. This is the relative lowering of vapor pressure. It is equal to the mole fraction of the solute. That is the statement. According to Raoult's law, what is this? It is relative lowering of vapor pressure. So according to Raoult's law, the relative lowering of vapor pressure, it is equal to mole fraction of the solute. So this is about vapor pressure of liquid solutions. So we learned that vapor pressure of liquid. What is the vapor pressure of the liquid? The pressure exerted by the vapors above the liquid surface, that is the vapor pressure of the liquid. Then you learned about vapor pressure of liquid solutions. You learned that P is equal to PA plus PB, because here both solute and solvents are liquids. Both are volatile in nature. Hence you learned that P is equal to P naught A XA plus P naught B XP. This is the expression for Raoult's law of volatile solute. Then you learnt about vapor pressure of solid liquid solution, where only liquid is volatile, solid is not volatile. So vapor pressure of the solution, it will depend on the vapor pressure of solvent only. So you learned that P is equal to PA. Here PB is not considered because the solute is non-volatile, it is a solid. So P is equal to P naught A XA, or it can also be written as P is directly proportional to XA. The total vapor pressure of the solution is directly proportional to mole fraction of the volatile solvent. This is the statement for Raoult's law.